Everybody, I am Brian Stokes, therapist at Tools for Success Counseling in Connecticut. And today we have a special guest. He is a licensed therapist in the state of Texas, Phil Coleman. Thank you for coming, Phil.
Absolutely. Glad to be here, man. Glad we could finally sync up.
It's been a long time coming. Let me tell you something. If you can get Phil as a therapist, you're lucky because this man is busy in and out, father, husband, licensed therapist, in and out, back and forth. But it's good that we have him here today. He has a wealth of knowledge that he's going to offer today. But first, Phil, can you give me just some of your background, who you are as a man, then as a therapist, and what you're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. As a man, husband, father, all those things. I got two kids, 6 and 3. Their names are Nora and Jack. They are just a delight on their best days, and then the challenges come on they're not so best days, of course, because they're again 6 and 3. And then married to my wife Casey, who is my absolute dearest, very cliche but best friend. We work together. We have our own perinatal practice together. We see a lot of new parents. She sees moms, I see dads, and then I also see the couples and parents together as they transition into that new life, with being a parent, which is can has so many challenges. I enjoy. I'll just say a little bit of myself. I enjoy Astros baseball. You can see my hat, and I've watched every game for the last couple of years, which is both highs and lows. I value friendship. I have a lot of great friends in the area. I value community, and so building a strong connection with my community and my neighborhood and our church and our school and all of our things. We love going to the movies. We do that a lot. I love making music. You probably see my instrument behind me. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
just a little bit. And also Ted Lasso and Mr. Rogers are kind of my two idols to live by, if you will.
Okay, all the things. One thing, I actually forgot that you are in practice with your wife. How is it
Mhm.
working with new parents at that, and then being a parent
Yeah.
and a husband with your wife every day? What is that like
Yeah.
to
Great question.
get together a lot?
So not everybody works well with their spouse. I'll say that. So I don't say, hey, I recommend, because not everybody works well. We work insanely well together. So
Mhm.
she is technically my boss. So she runs the business and all those things. I do a lot of the networking stuff and our marketing and that kind of thing. But we work really well together. Sometimes we share, husband wife duo, and so we can provide really good care that way. Um, so we find it really enjoyable, honestly.
Okay. Okay. Wow. I will not be trying that. But thank you for showing us what it's like to be strong in faith and in marriage while working together. I'm kidding.
Absolutely.
I know what it's like to be partnered with your wife. It's a good thing to lean on because you can always
Mhm.
trust them, especially like within the business aspect. It's in the
Yeah.
business, it's in the house, as well. And still, it is called the practice is called what again?
Landmark counseling practice.
Landmark counseling practice. And on the website, you have the quote. You said the dad life circus.
Yeah, man.
Now, tell me more. The dad life circus. Where is that coming from?
Oh, man. All the highs and lows. You think about the stereotypical dad, in our American Western context, wants to probably sit on the couch, watch some football or watch or do something in the other hyper masculine sense and just kind of chill. That's not our day and age anymore,
Mhm.
and so we are very involved, I think, as dads in now the modern era, and the new era. And so we're changing diapers and we are doing drop-offs and we are doing pickups and we're wiping noses and we're getting sick when our kids get sick and we're trying to regulate our own emotion while our kids are dysregulated. And then on top of that, oh, we're trying to make social plans so that they can have friends and then we can have friends. And then so it's just all kind of crazy chaos, highs and lows, the lack of sleep, in the beginning, maybe sometimes later, depending if your kid sleeps or not, depending, all of those ups and downs. And then try to, have space for your partner and your marriage as well and your own social life. It's a lot. It is a circus.
How are you balancing all of that? Because some people might hear it and say, "Oh, I'm glad my wife just does it all." But a lot of wives are working now.
Oh yeah.
owning their own businesses, wanting
Oh
to
yeah.
go to work after they have a baby, still wanting to be their own independent selves.
Oh yeah.
So what do you say to that? How do you frame this to the new couple that are coming in, the new dads that are coming in that might have seen something different than what you're saying now?
Absolutely. It is definitely an adjustment, right? When you first, especially when you bring baby home, and then it's just kind of like this part's easy, but may not be as easy on your wife because she just gave birth and she has a lot of challenges that she's trying to work through physically. And if she has postpartum depression or anxiety or OCD or any of those things, it could just be really hard on her. And then men also deal with postpartum depression too because there's a lot of changes and challenges. It's not biological necessarily for them, but it's still situational, still counts. Uh, and so juggling all of that, can be a challenge. For me, I'll speak, I have the benefit where I'm working 4 or 5 hours a day, like 4 or 5 clients a day, and then some marketing, things like that in between. But even still, my workday is over by 2 o'clock and I have space to whether exercise, do my house chores, do whatever that is. So the time my kids are home, I'm completely present with them and fully just there. And so I'm not worried about getting this done, getting that thing done until 5 o'clock even. Um, that's, I understand that's rare, but that's the beauty of my profession. For
Mhm.
the working parent, where husband might feel like, well, I was doing nothing before, and this is something I see. And now all of a sudden, there's this resentment that comes up like, well, I wasn't doing, dishes, laundry, vacuuming, whatever before. And now all of a sudden I'm doing it. And so why has this changed now that we've had a kid? And I think parents, when they're, pre-kid, haven't quite learned to figure out like, well, how do we balance this early and now, where it's a
Mhm.
shared partnership from the get-go,
Mhm.
not when the kid arrives. Right. And so that's where dads get kind of confused, where it's like, now I have all this extra bit of, responsibility and all I want to do is relax because I'm tired. Well, everybody's tired. Everybody. So we have
Every
to,
day.
yeah, we have to balance that. Like, okay, let's we divide and conquer. So just to give a little more detail, we take, I recommend to a lot of my dads, like, hey, talk with your spouse or your partner every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever day it is. You take a day and you decide who's doing what. Like I've
Mm.
got bathrooms, I've got the floors, I've got dishes this week. I'm doing whatever. I'm folding laundry. And then if she wants to take vacuuming and she wants to take whatever to-do list things, like I got to call this person and that person and you're taking care of the home, that frees up her to do some of the checklist to-dos that might, help. You divide and conquer and decide because typically, men are going to be like, well, I got the yard. Well, the yard's once a week. So, that's not your everyday. We got to pick up the toys. We got to sweep the
Yeah.
floor. We got to do the dishes. We got to, what's the wind down procedure that you have? And if you put in your mind that you're doing this like 30 minutes a day, it's not an hour, it's not 2 hours. Cause I think for a lot of people, it just feels so big to take
Yeah,
care of.
I think that's good because a lot of men that I see often do feel like now everything is on me or now
Hmm.
I have all of this
Yeah.
the work just because I'm cleaning the kitchen and or putting dishes uh in the dishwasher and possibly because they probably seen their mothers doing it all and
Yeah.
maybe their grandmothers, as
Yep.
well. So when you say just make a list and understand that it's just 30 minutes, it does kind of simplify it. I saw a video online this week, and a man was asking a question saying, My wife wants me to be somebody that I am not since we had the kid. She knows that I'm not a homemaker. She knows that I don't want to do these things in the home, and I wasn't raised to do this. And it's just interesting because you're saying this, like, yeah, nobody was raised, to take care of a whole, family. It's just something that you need to do. You've fallen into this. So, with all of that, how do you gently, like in couples counseling, or what advice could you give to the couples that the one of the spouses may not feel like it's in them to do housework, to do laundry, to cook, to clean with kids?
Great question. Great question. I would say I try to help them understand what their wife is going through. Like how much resentment do you think she holds towards you? What's your connection like right now? What's your physical intimacy? What's your sexual intimacy? What's your emotional intimacy? What's your routine at the end of the evening? Is your
Mm,
marriage, you feel like if you were to rate your marriage on a scale of 1 to 10, where are
mm,
you at? And if all those things come out low, like, so what needs to change? And if they can't come to the conclusion, at least one or the other, like, hey, let's ask, husband, let's ask wife or partner one, partner two, figure that out. If they're both dissatisfied, like, well, what's missing? Well, I feel like I'm carrying everything, the mental load, right? What do you hear her saying? I'm hearing her saying that she's doing a lot, but what am I supposed to do? I'm doing a lot too. Oh, we
mm,
didn't say that. She's
mm,
just telling you what she said. Okay, what about you? Well, I feel like I'm working a lot and I do this and I come home and I have nothing left to give and understandable. Do you feel confident at work? Yes. Do you feel confident at home? No. How do
mm,
we fix that? How much are you giving yourself to your job versus how much are you giving yourself at home? If you don't feel confident at home, it's like starting over. You're
woo,
relearning, right?
yeah,
You're relearning everything. You're relearning who you are as a dad now. You're relearning who you are as a husband
mm,
or a partner. You're relearning how to live your whole life with lack of sleep, which everything feels like a fishbowl at the beginning. And so work's not going to care. They're going to, oh, congratulations. I know it's hard that you're not sleeping, but also here's all the work you still have to do, or here's all the work you miss if you're coming off of, some kind of leave. They're going to be sensitive to that. So you just have to balance and realize the life that you had is just not there right now, and
mm,
accept that and move forward. So hopefully creating some compassion, hopefully from my end too, to them to say, hey, I understand, I get it. I've been there literally. you know, I've done a bunch of work and been the person like, oh, we're so glad, and I'm glad you're back. But also there's all this stuff you need to do. And then there's no compassion necessarily from work as much as you would hope sometimes. And then moving forward and going, all right, how do I put one foot in front of the other and get some support and go from there. So it's a lot. It's a lot to manage.
yeah. Thank you for that. I feel like that is
Yeah.
be helpful to a lot of people because it's not just about the work in the home.
Yeah.
It's also about your relationship with your wife. Is she satisfied while you are satisfied? Like that opens up a whole different other world because some people are just thinking, oh, I go to work and I come home. And there's a whole lot of things in between that. So pulling those layers back.
Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah. Big time. Big
So
time.
Phil, what about the dads who are wanting to be helpful but are having because like you said, some dads have a postpartum depression, of their
Yeah.
own. What's like a first step in that to someone who's listening, like, hey, I want to help. I have just been feeling differently since the baby got here and I'm gonna fall.
Yeah. Absolutely. So for me, I'll speak a little personally. I dealt with postpartum depression when I had my son. With my daughter, who was my firstborn, didn't have that. So it
Mm,
was just I wasn't expecting that to happen when I had my son. Granted, situationally my life was different. I was going to school to become a therapist when my son was born. I was working full time and I was in my there was 60, 70 plus hours of working I was doing. And so and pressure of being a dad to a boy just felt different to me. Compared so anyway, that's my understanding. But I couldn't find a support group or a therapist that really dealt with what I was dealing with. There was not really a level of understanding because there's nobody specializing what I needed. And so, step one, see if you can find someone, who is a therapist, which I know sometimes men can be a little bit more hesitant to do that, but totally understand. Um, and if not, if you don't feel comfortable, find a friend, parent, brother, sister, whoever that you feel like you can trust and confide in. And if you don't have anybody, let's find you somebody. Probably wife is first, actually. Let's go there. Tell your
that,
spouse first.
that would be
And
nice if
then
both on.
hopefully you can find support together. Cause sometimes I'll get couples that come and they're coming because, really the dad is the one who feels most depressed. And then we end up splitting and I end up just working with the dad because that's what was needed. It's like we don't need
Mm,
couples work. We need you work is what we need
okay.
specifically. So it changes, but step one is tell somebody, right? And then go down the rabbit trail and see what you can find between therapists, support groups, all the above. There are, I can't remember the name of the organization off the top of my head, but there is a walking group of dads. I know that it's nationwide and
Yeah,
they
I see the
call
one in Chicago. Yeah.
yeah. There's one in Chicago. We have one here in Austin, and they literally, it's like here in Austin, the group is like 60 dads. It's
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
And they
Okay.
bring their strollers and they walk this huge trail. And it's awesome. It's like, man, and they do it like, I think every other week on Fridays, at like 8 or 9 or something like that, and they all get together, or Saturdays, it doesn't matter, but they're there to support each other. And that's, I think, where dads also work best, is they may not be great with face to face, but the side to side, they're
Yeah,
awesome with, right?
yeah,
So I'd also recommend that. Like, yeah, talk on the phone, like, go ask a buddy, like, you want to take a walk? Like, just go take a walk and just talk it out.
yeah. And are you still doing the? I forgot what it's called. The walk and talk.
Walk and talk.
Tell me
Yeah,
about
I
that.
do.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so there's a few dads I meet with that they don't like the chair thing or sitting face to face, and I've found that, like I said, side by side works, and so it's more talking therapy. It's not like I'm not doing IFS or an EMDR or any of those kind of modalities, but we're doing a lot more of just, hey, you're struggling, you're having a hard time processing your feelings, just sitting down, like, why don't we just walk and talk about it? And it's more talk therapy based, but I've found that I've seen dads process that a lot more, when they get that out, because it's kind of that bilateral stimulation when they're
Yeah,
walking, and they're able to just feel and go, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much I was not being empathetic towards my kid, or my anger issue is coming from here," or whatever that looks like. So it's really, really impactful, when the weather's good.
yeah. When the weather's good, that is definitely fair. You mentioned IFS. What is that? And I know that you use it within the practice because you use it. That's when somebody's feeling like emotionally disconnected.
Hmm.
That give us a little sprinkle of what that looks like in therapy.
Yeah. It's
Environment.
internal family system, so it's very attachment based. That's kind of the lens I work out of, between emotion focused therapy for couples, internal family systems for individuals, and it's the idea that we have a core self, and that self is kind of like the conscience guiding light, if you will. It's our most confident core self of who we are. And then we have all these parts that are made up within us, thousands of them. They could be literally anything. They could be a 5-year-old part of yourself. It could literally be a toy that you used to play with, or a car you used to drive, or something completely imaginary that is totally different than who you are and what you look like, but makes up a part of you. Meaning, now this is the part of me that is my faith part. This is the part of me that is like my really depressed part, or this is the part of me that, works too much and is really anxious and feels, very driven, but in an unhealthy way. And that looks like a car. Or the depressed part, looks like Flat Stanley. I had somebody bring that up one time, which was like so abstract. Um, and then we try to reorient and bring those parts back to the system, meaning we want to reattach it and reparent them and help them feel heard and seen and safe, and feel like they're secure with the core self. And so a lot of that is, there's repair that needs to be done. How do you feel towards this part? What does it look like? What are they doing? What are you doing? What do you think they need from you? And then there's a lot of other caveats in there, without going into all the details, but there's protectors and firefighters and all kinds of stuff that tend to might protect a certain part from being let out. Usually those are called exiles, which means that's when the deep emotions come out, because that part is really, really hurt and needs to feel safe again, secure again. So that's the shortest version of IFS.
I got it. And I
And
I think it's gonna be good for people to hear it, especially because when you break it down, it's simplified in a way where it feels like, oh, I can get there. Oh, that's
yeah,
attainable. Oh, I have those things. I feel that way rather than just saying this is therapy. And
yep,
it's like, no,
yep,
let me into your world and we can figure out that inner child. We can figure out what's going on in your
yeah,
mind to let it flow and we can get to a conclusion and find some solutions for you.
yep. And I've found, especially with my dads, who are very disconnected from their emotions, even though, because IFS is weird. When you explain it, people, this is weird. It is weird. Absolutely. Like, you're closing your eyes and going internally, but then they say they feel like they've gone to another dimension, and they've
Okay.
dealt with, like, a lot of my dads who maybe played sports growing up. They find that, oh my gosh, my dad was my coach and he said this thing, and I'm brought back to that memory and how much that part is hurt. And they just flood of tears come out. And like,
Wow.
I had no idea I was hurting that much.
Wow.
Because I think when they finally slow down, they're able to access the emotions they didn't know that they had, which
So
is
for
a
someone who's
beautiful thing.
watching, if they I'm sorry. Say
No,
it
no,
again.
good, man. You're good.
I'm saying for someone who's watching, we say slow down. How can you slow down, independently? Like, because
Whew.
it's hard to get people to come to therapy. So I'm just like, what are just little things? How do we slow down individually to get to that moment to realize what's actually going on?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because again, being a parent, being a husband, working full time, that alone is a lot to juggle. And then if there's extracurriculars or anything for yourself or whoever, that's
Ooh.
yeah. So, and then where do you have time for yourself? So I like to preach to my clients, and I do say preach. I don't say that lightly. Like, where's your margin? Where's your margin? When you get home at the end of the day and then kids go down, what happens? Are you going back to work? Are you just disconnecting and turning on the TV? How do you recharge? Because if you don't have anywhere to recharge, you have no margin, or you just keep adding stuff on top of whatever else you have because you feel like you can't get your head above water. That's because you keep pouring water on top of yourself and you keep drowning. So we need to find margin where you're not literally head above water, but you're standing in shallow. So there's room for you to move and feel like you can breathe. Uh, so I preach that a lot of if you got more on your plate, let's take less off of. That's not within the home, that's extracurricular or that's outside that you know you can control. And so the way I'd say that is let's say no to something so that your yes can be meaningless to the people that matter, or meaningful, sorry, to the people that matter to
Yes, Phil. Yes, 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 yes. All right.
you. Yeah,
Okay.
that's,
This is
that's where I
why
go.
you are in Texas, and you're still doing Florida too, right? It's Texas
I
and Florida.
am, yeah, trying to. Taking a little bit longer because Florida. I have all my stuff in. I'm literally just waiting. So it
Okay.
just,
Okay. Well, still men in
it's,
Texas. You see how Phil is not trying to therapize you. It's literally trying to give you tools to navigate as a dad, as a husband, to feel like you're being helped and helpful, within the home, especially when you have a new baby, in the home. It's really
yeah,
good. It is really good, Phil. You
absolutely.
working with your wife. So what does it look like when a couple's coming in like, "Hey, we had a baby. We didn't get therapy before. Help." What does that
Yeah.
look like?
Absolutely. So if they come to see me first, depends on the situation always. So sometimes it might be wife is seeing or, seeing my wife and going through all the postpartum things and realizing I'm not getting any help at home. So like I said earlier, that's kind of gateway access to dad usually
Mhm.
and what happens, and helping them navigate everything. So I've talked through first, like, okay, what was our life like before baby? Tell me what that was like. What are our rituals for connection? That's very Gottman speak, but like, what do we do when we come home? How do we greet each other? What do we do for fun? How did we meet is always where I start. How did we
Mm.
meet? So they remember, hey, we're human beings. We're not just trying to keep this little thing alive. Like we actually have a story and a relationship. So hearing that first so that we can kind of get down to the humanity before we get to the nitty gritty. Right, let's go. Because some people are like, all right, let's fix this problem. Let's go. It's like, whoa, this is slow. This is slow work. This is going to
Mhm.
take time. So we start there, and then we try to start building some foundations if there's nothing there, depending. So meaning, I always start with the four horsemen of Gottman therapy. I don't know if are you familiar with those?
Mhm.
So I start with those four things and say, are any of these getting in the way? Usually there is. So, okay, well, let's talk about that. That's usually session two. We do that because first session is just intake and goals and what do you want to work on and all the above. And then help educate what those are in the postpartum period and navigate what those are. Okay, this is what needs to change. This is how we get there. And then creating some sort of structure if there isn't any, right? Like mental load I'd mentioned, that's usually for wives. Usually, that's top of the list is the mental load, and then husband is usually, but why aren't we having sex? It's like, well, dude, let's think about this. I can't
Yeah.
remember who coined this term, but they called it chore play. Just
Mm.
you do the chores, then you'll get sex. It's kind of like navigating that piece, and so
Yeah.
helping them get just a new normal and then helping them understand who they are as people now and it won't be this way forever. And then support goodness gracious, helping me providing support. And then said, if you don't have a community of support, let's get you one. Let's find
Mm,
one. Well, we don't know where to go. We don't where. So again, if we're saying no to too many things, then what are we saying yes to? Like we don't have a sitter, we don't have family, we don't have a community, we don't have XYZ. That makes it tough. It's like, well, then how do we find that? And help them, give them the tools, and the resources that I can, and then leave it up to them to find people. Because I don't know if you found this, but I found when I became a parent, I felt like I actually gained more community of people, which was just crazy. It was like I'd go to the park, there'd be people there. I'm also highly extroverted, so it wasn't a problem for me to make friends. My daughter's highly extroverted, so it's not a problem for her to make friends. And so you just got to show up where the people are
mm.
and find some support. So anyway, that's the long short answer.
No, I like that. I like talking about the support aspect because I feel like that leans into like strengths based, like the strength like that you
Yeah.
had. And then that leads into like reducing isolation, which is,
Yeah.
comes, a problem when you have a baby and or wife and navigating through that. So your profile like emphasizes, and I cannot remember what it says, seeking mental health and looking at it as a strength and not a weakness.
Hmm.
Tell me more.
I can't remember how I wrote that. It's been a while, but
Because it was some I remember it was something about people always telling dads just to hold it together. So you were trying to
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the refreshing. So I now I remember there's the modern man, I think, wants to be vulnerable. I really do. But
Mm,
I don't think they know how.
okay.
Right. And so the past, men would be like, I got to be strong. I got to be, I can't show emotion and do that kind of thing. I don't think men are that way as much anymore. They just don't have the tools. And I think it's more of the pressure of, I can't slow down because if I do, everything's going to break. Everything's going to fall apart. Meaning I'm going to break. I'm
Mm,
going to fall apart. Um, and they don't want to do that because that is too vulnerable and that is too scary. So it's like, I know this knowledge, I know that I want this, but I don't know how to get there. So knowing the thing and doing the thing, two totally different things, right? And so understanding, going, I need help, that alone right there is everything. Just to say, I need help, and to tell someone, I cannot do this on my own. Help me, hold me up, give me a shoulder, give me more than that. Give me a strong back so I can carry, because I need that. Because there's nothing else I can do. I've got nothing, no one, if they're in that place. Um, and helping them understand vulnerability really is your true strength here, because that's the thing that's going to make you feel more intimate with your wife. It's going to make you feel more connected to other people, other men, or other family members, other friends. That's the thing that's going to unlock all of that for you. That is a strength more than anything. So
yeah.
it's okay to not be okay, right? We've heard that so many times,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I hope y'all are listening to Phil and hear him very clearly because he is giving you a soft landing to fall on. You are, man. He's giving you. So if you are in Texas, please connect with Phil. Phil, to wrap this up, I did want to ask you: is there anything you could tell fathers who are about to have a baby or had the baby, just about the areas in like in what's it called? Is it resources more so? I can't even think of the word. Paternity leave,
Mm,
uh, different things that can aid the father in comfort of work, or is there any nuances of things that can help them, in that area? Because it seems like moms know right away. Paternity leave. I'm taking this many months off. She gets this, and that, and then the dad is like, can you help with that at all?
yeah, I think that is the challenge too in a lot of the modern workforce, where you don't see paternity leave a whole lot. And so they might get 2 weeks and then that's it. And so that transition feels a lot harder, a lot harder. So again, I emphasize community and support a lot. So finding people, if whether it's a forum or a human being or a therapist or a parent, and asking how they navigated those challenging challenges, knowing what's ahead of you, it's coming. Because when you are a parent, you're not flying by the seat of your pants. I mean, you can, but when baby comes, there's a lot of forward thinking that happens. You can you could plan only so much, of course. You can't plan everything, but trying to think ahead of problem solving. So before it happens, you're able to kind of hold everything a little bit easier because it's like strengthening a muscle, right? So thinking through doctor's appointments too, of how I can take that
Right.
off of my wife and I can think ahead. Do I need to talk to my boss and say, hey, these next few months, this is all I can give? My priority is my family, not my job. And seeing where job is with that. Sometimes jobs are not as comfortable with that. Maybe you need to find a new place to work. Maybe you need to ask to work home a little bit more. Hey, can I work from home 2 days or 3 days a week instead of going into the office all five, at least while I transition from this point to this point, just to give a little forward thinking. So that way you are on the same page with, your employer and they can give you a little bit of flexibility, hopefully. And I found a lot of workplaces have been a lot more flexible in that area, whatever that looks like. And then if you need to connect with a therapist, like 9 times out of 10, I recommend like a lunch break. And I know not everybody wants to do that, but if you're thinking 1 hour, one time a week, or even bi-weekly,
Yeah.
my goodness, that will just bring you so much relief more than you need as you get steps and tools that can provide support. And then if it's helpful, like leaving right on time at when you're supposed to leave and not staying later than you need to, getting in right on time, not any earlier. It's kind of who's the priority. Is your job more of a priority or is your marriage and your family more of a priority? And if it is, show that. Set up your own boundaries and your own spaces, especially in the beginning, so that you can show, hey, these people matter to me more. Like this job matters to me. This is important, but these are the things are that these two people or three people, however many are way more important to me. So that's what I recommend. Navigate, work with what you've got, and then try to be proactive and talking to you need to
Thank
have
you.
these
Yeah.
conversations. Yeah,
Phil,
absolutely.
when I tell you I love the way you just simplify things for the men, because I think that's what they want. They don't want a whole lot of mumbo jumbo. It's like, hey, what we doing? What do we need? Give me the
Yeah,
steps
man.
so I can complete it. I'm trying to get to a goal, solution focused. So
Yep,
thank you for that. Phil, anything
absolutely.
you want to leave us with, you want to leave them with?
Oh my goodness gracious. You're giving me a blank canvas here, Brian. I feel like I've said all I need to say for the most part, but just to mostly understand if you need help, if you need help, just take the first step and find somebody and follow through and say, hey, I cannot do this alone. And you're not meant to. You're really truthfully not meant to, because parenthood is a wild ride and it is also the most incredible thing you'll ever do and the most difficult thing you'll
Yep.
ever do.
Yes, sir.
And you'll be all the better man for it.
All right. Phil Coleman, licensed therapist in Texas, Landmark Counseling. What is the website, Phil?
It's just landmarkcounselingpractice.com.
Landmarkcounselingpractice.com. Any social media you want them to follow, look you up on?
I don't have my socials up and running yet, so not yet,
Landmark
but we'll get there.
landmarkcounselingpractice.com. Look him up
Got it.
there. He is receiving taking clients right now. Phil, I appreciate you coming on, giving the knowledge to the couples, but specifically to the men, because it is so vital that we allow men to be emotional, to be open, to be
Absolutely.
vulnerable in these spaces. And you've given so many solutions to things that men want to know and probably didn't
Absolutely.
know. So I appreciate you just
Yeah, man.
giving your wealth of knowledge today. Again, Phil Coleman, landmarkcounselingpractice.com. Thank you so much, Phil. And
Thank you,
until next
Brian.
time, yes, sir. I'll see you later.